Welcome to another episode of Rantasaurus. I don't even know what I'm going to call this episode. I'm probably going to call it Cry Me a River version of Rantasaurus. But I saw something today that completely blew my mind. Stephen Totillo, of all people, crying and complaining that they got blacklisted. Again, Kotalkshit got blacklisted for leaking information. This time they got blacklisted by Bethesda and by Ubisoft. Okay? Now we're talking about a site that gets millions upon millions of views. Okay? Millions upon millions of views means they make a lot of fucking money. That's how they're able to pay their journalists and keep the lights on. This dude had the nerve to create an editorial about them being blacklisted. And they went on to say things like, well, we leaked the information about Fallout 4, and we leaked some information about Assassin's Creed Victory, which later became Assassin's Creed Syndicate, and Bethesda and Ubisoft are mad at us, so they blacklisted us. But he's really upset that they can't get early coverage for those games that they make anymore. He's upset that they didn't get review copies of Assassin's Creed and Fallout 4. Now, I've been given leaks in the past of information. I've been given stuff before E3. I had information that if I leaked before E3, the industry would have took notice. But there's consequences to leaking this information. People can lose their jobs. Because I'm telling you right now, any leaks that you see, whether you see it on NeoGoof, Kotalkshit, Polygon, any of those sites that have leaks, they get them from an inside source. Somebody that works close to the company. More likely it's a developer or an intern or somebody that signed an NDA is leaking the information. They're leaking images, information, video clips, all kinds of stuff. They leak that stuff out to the industry. Now, when you get a leak and the person who's leaking the information to you tells you, don't leak this information until this date, you have to listen to that person. That person is your source. You don't want anybody to lose their job. So you have to have some journalistic integrity. And what Stephen Totillo is talking about in this article is about how they have a duty to tell the truth to their readers and everything. This isn't investigative journalism. They're not in fucking Afghanistan trying to figure out who's killing all these people, all these innocent people, or how they're planning terrorist bomb attacks on. It's not that serious. People's lives aren't at stake. Okay? It's fucking video games. And I'm sorry, but if you're sitting at your desk all day, like Steven does, if you're sitting at your desk and somebody sends you an email with some screenshots from a game that is yet to be announced, that's not investigative journalism. That's lazy-ass fucking fish wrap journalism. All you're doing is getting some information and then revealing it to the public. You're not special. That's not investigative journalism. Investigative journalism is finding out if it's true that a publisher is sexually harassing its female employees, or they're not paying people, or if EA is sweatshopping their developers through Christmas to get a game put out a certain amount of time. That's something you investigate. That's something you ask questions and get answers, because those are things that the public needs to know. Okay? Eventually, these games that are getting made, they will be announced. They will be released. Everybody's going to find out about it. But you're taking it upon yourself to take this leaked information and leak it out to everybody, and then you can't deal with the consequences. You know, if you're going to do the crime, do the time. This is what happened with Sony. Sony blacklisted Kotaku years ago, as he stated in his article. When Brian Crescente leaked some information, I can't even remember what it was about. It was like PlayStation Home or something. Brian Crescente leaked something, and they got blacklisted by Sony. But eventually the blacklist got lifted because Sony needs Kotaku. These publishers need the press. And I know a lot of times you feel that if you get press releases or you get embargoes, you feel like you're working for the publishers. Well, you are. That's just the way it is. And you can either choose to play the publisher's game, or you could do whatever the fuck you want. But if you're going to go out there and leak information that's not going to be leaked, don't be upset when the consequences lead to a blackout or a blacklist. So you've been blacklisted, and then you're going to cry about it. And it's not like Kotaku can't afford to buy their own review copies. If you feel that it's your duty to inform your readers about these games and to post reviews and screenshots and videos, then pay for the fucking game. Because unlike a lot of sites out there who don't have financial backing, who don't have money, people that have to get up and go to work for 8 hours before they can post articles on their website, they have to struggle, okay? And they have to play the fucking publisher's game if they want review copies. But small sites aren't always included. We've been through this. I've been through this. I'm not always included in that shit. I didn't always get flown out to places. I didn't always get early review copies. I'm still waiting for my fucking Halo 3 duffel bag. I didn't get one of those. Kotaku got one. You know? So, I mean, some of the stuff he said in this article, it's like, he starts off when he's crying and whining, and he says, neither company has officially told us that we've been cut off. For a time, it was possible to make a good faith assumption that this was just a short-term disagreement. Maybe their spam filters were misplacing our emails. Really? So companies that you worked with for years all of a sudden aren't responding to you after you've leaked information. And you're thinking, maybe their spam filters misplaced your email? You know? It's fucking ridiculous. And he says, the truth is that we've been cut off from Bethesda since our December 2013 report detailing the existence of a then secret Fallout 4. Ooh, it's a big fucking secret. Ubisoft has been nearly radio silent since our December 2014 report detailing the existence of a then unannounced Assassin's Creed Victory renamed Syndicate. When we ask for representatives from either company for comment or clarification regarding breaking news, we hear nothing in response. When we ask them about our plans for upcoming games or seek to speak with one of their developers about one of their projects, it's the same story. Total silence. Well, no shit. You've been blacked out. Like I said, if you're going to leak this information that's not supposed to be leaked, you have to deal with the consequences. And the consequences here is you've been put on a blacklist. Okay? You're fucked. Those companies said, fuck you. You're not gonna. This is exactly what Activision should have did to your asses when you guys leaked Modern Warfare 3. Now, I remember that shit, and I remember them commenting on that shit, and this is right before their event. This is right before Activision's event, where they invited all these sites. They fucking flew us out. They paid for our hotel. They paid for our food. They had a fucking concert for us. They did all this shit. They did. In fact, as a matter of fact, I flew to LA twice on Activision's bill so they can promote these new games that they were making, these new Call of Duty games. And you guys are leaking all their shit. And because the leaks came out after you guys were invited to their event, Kotaku still got to go. They still got to fly on their bill. And I can bet you that if they didn't already have a plane ticket for your asses when you leaked that information, you wouldn't have been there. You have to deal with the consequences. Okay? And he's up here just whining. He says, we're far from the only gaming media outlet that has ever been blacklisted. It happens to smaller outlets. It happens to ones like Kotaku with millions of readers, too. It's not an uncommon occurrence in gaming media, although it's seldom discussed publicly. You know, he says, the current Ubisoft blackout is actually the second in as many years. The company tried a similar approach in the spring of 2014 when we published the images of Assassin's Creed Unity, images that had been leaked to us by an independent source. Okay, let me clarify something for you, for those of you that have read this article. Independent source means somebody internal to the company that's working on the project, okay? If you have information on a game that has not been announced, you're working on the project. You're not some fucking janitor sweeping down the halls at Ubisoft or some fucking delivery boy or catering company. You're somebody that's working on the game, okay? So when you say independent source, you're talking about somebody that's internal to the company, somebody that's part of the project, somebody that knows about the project, more than likely somebody that signed an NDA. He said that article confirmed news about the company's extraordinary plans to release 2 entirely different AC games in the fall of that year, one for new consoles and one for old. Ubisoft had warmed back to Kotaku by the summer of 2014, several months after the Unity report, but has cold-shouldered us since the victory story 1 year ago. Meaning, you fucked up, you made a mistake, they gave you a second chance, and you fucked up again. You're done. You are completely done. And like I said, if you don't want to play the whole marketing game, the whole PR game, if you don't want to be a fucking, like an intern for PR and do all their work for them, then don't fucking do anything with the information they give you. Don't fucking list the press releases. Don't adhere to the fucking NDAs and embargoes. Okay? Do what the fuck you want, but do it on your own fucking dime. Okay? So if you want to do what you want, deal with the consequences. Otherwise, you got to play the game. And if you're going to do what you want, spend your own money. Buy your own review copies. You still got readers. It's not like you're losing readers because you've been blacklisted. Here he goes. I'm sure some people will sympathize with Bethesda and Ubisoft. Some will cheer these companies and hope others follow suit. They will see this as the kind of they will see this kind of reporting as upsetting, as ruining surprises and frustrating creative people. They will claim that we are hurting video games, and as so many do, mistake the job of entertainment reporting for the mandate to hype entertainment products. Okay, I understand what entertainment reporting does, or what it is, because I used to do it. I still do it. I do it on my podcast every week. But I don't play the game. That's just it. And I know that people work hard making these products, and I do know that people can lose jobs if things get leaked. And yes, I do think it's stupid that video games have embargoes. I do think it's stupid that a lot of this stuff is held in secrecy. I mean, it is just video games. It's not medicine. It's not military. It's not politics. So I don't know why they keep everything under wraps. Whatever. But that's just the way it is. He says, we serve our readers, not game companies, and will always do so to the best of our ability, no matter who in the gaming world is or isn't angry with us at the moment. Okay, you're serving your readers. And by serving your readers, you shouldn't have to rely on these companies for anything. If you're actually serving your readers, you don't need anything from the publishers. You don't need review copies. You don't need early access. You don't need press junkets. You don't need any of that stuff if you're serving your readers. All you have to do is wait till Tuesday, digitally download it, or go wait in line at GameStop, buy your copy of the game, and cover it if you're serving your readers. But this whole editorial is like, you're upset that you've been blacklisted. Like, you can't serve your readers anymore because you've been blacklisted? That's not the case. You can still serve your readers. You can still cover games. This is fucking ridiculous. This is fucking ridiculous. They get millions upon millions of fucking hits. If I was getting the traffic that Kotaku was getting, I'd always buy my game. I wouldn't even care about the publishers. At that point, I could just buy my games and still get all the traffic I needed, still get the word out, still get my opinion out, because I'm getting all this money from all this traffic. So just buy the fucking game. I don't need the fucking publishers. It took me a while to realize that you don't need the publishers, they need you. I know this. I've known this for years. Why doesn't Kotaku know this? Is that what they're trying to tell us in this fucking editorial, that they don't really need publishers and they're still gonna march on and still do that thing? And then he treats this like it's some important journalism, some investigative journalism, getting all these leaks. It's not. You're sitting at your fucking desk waiting for emails. You're waiting for some dude or some woman at some fucking publisher to send you a fucking email so you can create a story and get hits. And after all the people that you pissed off, after all the shit that you talked, after all the words that you turned around to create clickbait, you got some fucking nerve, Stephen Totillo, Totillo, whatever the fuck your name is, you got some fucking nerve talking this shit and writing this fucking article. Cry me a fucking river. Welcome to the real world. Welcome what it's like to be treated like a small site. You're not special anymore. He says, in some ways, the blacklist has even been instructive, cut off from press access and pre-release review copies. We have doubled down on our post-release embedding to approach game coverage. That's what you gotta fucking do. That's what small sites gotta do. We gotta double down on our post-release coverage, because a lot of times we don't get pre-release coverage. There was a lot of times where we got invited to shows to see games early, but we didn't get invited to the review party where they fly you out and put you up in a hotel and let you play the entire game over a 24-hour period or 8-hour period, however long it was, so you could write your review and have your review out when the game's released or when the embargo breaks off. So a lot of times you just get half the story. You wouldn't get the full story. You'd be like, oh, well, I went to the unveiling of the game, I got to play it, but they didn't invite me to the review. They didn't invite me to the review party with all the other press members. Why is that? Now I have to wait till Tuesday and then play the game for 24 hours just to get my review out there so I can get some traffic too. Steven, you got fucking nerve even writing this goddamn article. Like you're looking for some kind of support, some kind of sympathy because you got blacklisted yet again for the fourth motherfucking time? Are you serious? I don't give a fuck what you think about me. You're full of shit. Yeah, you may be the nicest person in the world with your mild-mannered attitude and everything like this. You were really cool when you were working for MTV, but clearly Kotaku's gotten to your fucking head. And just like David Jaffe said, you're fucking Bush League. Your whole site is Bush League, and this is the type of shit I'm talking about. The only one that's actually making sense on your site is Jason Schreier, or whatever the fuck his name is. I'm not even going to try and pronounce their names. I don't want to pronounce them wrong, but whatever. Jason, at least he does real stories and real articles. And he has some journalistic integrity. He responded on NeoGoof about this. And Jason said, and I totally agree with him. Jason said, I don't know where he responded somewhere, but I found it on NeoGoof. Jason said, to be clear, we've been blacklisted by both companies because we're doing real reporting and refuse to act as publishers' marketing arms. If anyone has any questions, let me know. I get the whole thing, don't act as a publisher's marketing arm. I've talked about this on the War Zone, how publishers treat us like we're fucking PR, like we're doing their fucking job. Can you please tell your readers about this? Send a press release. Can you please tell your readers about this? That's what they do. I get that part. But then he says, let's be clear about a few things. For one, the stories I'm most proud of writing are not stories about leaked Fallout scripts or even the Prey 2 press sneak fuck emails. The stories I'm most proud of writing are the real investigations, the type that reveal information nobody would have learned otherwise, whether it involves horrible working conditions, behind-the-scenes stories of how a game like Destiny turned out the way it did, or an explanation about what a highly anticipated canceled game like Titan actually was. You've seen and hopefully appreciated those stories, so now you know where I'm coming from here. Yeah, Jason Schreier isn't a fish wrap journalist. He writes stuff that's interesting. He doesn't wait for fucking leaks in the email to create a fucking article. He actually does work. And he also says, all that said, it is my responsibility as a reporter to serve my readers by reporting news about the gaming world, whether or not that's news that game companies are ready to announce. Well, again, at least he's admitting it. If you play the game, deal with the consequences. And he finally, I'm not going to read the whole thing, but he says, when publishers like Bethesda and Ubisoft decide to blacklist us for how we report, that's totally their prerogative. Yes, it is. They have a right to work with whichever outlets they prefer, and I think it's been clear to anyone who reads Kotalkshit that their decisions have not affected our coverage of them or their games over the past 2 years, nor will those decisions affect how we approach reporting on leaks in the future. Of course not, because you're already fucked. But again, if you're going to stick to your guns and leak articles, whatever, that's fine, but don't fucking whine about it after you get blacklisted. Like Steven Totillo did. He's fucking whining. He says, some will think about all this in terms of numbers, focusing on the hundreds of thousands of page views we've gotten from our stories about leaked game announcements. Those stories have indeed done well. They are nevertheless, that's why you leak them. They are nevertheless a small part of what we do and not something to which we devote much journalistic energy. I prefer to martial art reporting to tell readers things they'd otherwise never know or that they need to know sooner. The underpowered nature of upcoming hardware, the plight of fired game developers, the reason a high-profile game was released in rough shape. Yeah, those are all great stories. Yet you're here crying because you got blacklisted from leaking. This is what I'm talking about. I can't believe some of the shit he said in this. You know, it's just like, and he says it's because his readers are asking why he didn't have Assassin's Creed coverage. He says, in recent weeks, readers have asked questions. They wondered why I, someone who's enthusiastically covered Assassin's Creed games for years, didn't review the most recent one. The reason why he didn't review the most recent Assassin's Creed is because he got blacklisted and the site's too fucking cheap to buy him a copy to review. They wondered why we didn't seem to be subject to the Fallout 4 embargoes of embargoes, and why we didn't have a review of the game on the day it came out. In both cases, we managed some timely coverage because Ubisoft and Bethesda did send review copies of their games to one of our remote freelancers, presumably with the hope he'd cover them for the other main outlet he writes for, the New York Times. So they sent copies to this guy who writes for the New York Times, and he posted the reviews on Kotalkshit. Cry me a river, Steven. Cry me a fucking river. Make no mistake, though their efforts to shut out Kotaku have been ambiguous, our colleagues across the world in Australia and the UK have been met with the same stony silence. Yeah, they're all part of Kotaku. Representatives from both publishers did not reply to requests to share their perspective for this story. Points for consistency. For the better part of 2 years, too, the biggest video game publishers in the world have done their damnedest to make it difficult as possible for Kotaku to cover their games. Because you guys keep leaking their shit. This is why. The writing's on the wall. If you're going to leak their shit, deal with the consequences. Why did you even write this? Are you informing your readers why you're not covering? Just say we're not covering because we didn't get copies. That's it. Cry me a river. They have done so in apparent retaliation for the fact that we did our jobs as reporters and critics. You can leave the critic part out because nobody blacklisted you because they didn't like your reviews. So you can leave the critic part out. Reporters, I don't know, sitting at a desk and taking an email and editorializing the information from the email into a post, I don't consider that journalism. I don't consider that reporting. Okay? We told the truth about their games. Yes, you did. Sometimes in ways that disrupted a marketing plan that cost millions of fucking dollars. Other times in ways that shone an unflattering light on their products and company practices. Both publishers' actions demonstrate contempt for us and, by extension, the whole of the gaming press. No, it is not contempt for the whole of the gaming press, because if it was, nobody would got review copies of fucking Assassin's Creed and Fallout 4. That's not the case. It's just you, Kotalkshit, that's been blacklisted. It's you. This is about you. It's not the whole gaming press. The whole gaming press is playing the game. They're signing the NDAs. They're signing the embargoes. They're adhering to the policies that the publishers give them. And the publishers keep giving them games. That is why it's just you. Even people who don't have your fucking budget, who work $18 an hour jobs and have websites, adhere to these publishers' needs and the things that they do to market a product. They adhere to all that stuff. They listen to them. They follow the embargoes. They don't put out their reviews until 12 a.m. when the embargo hits. They follow the rules. And by following the rules, even these no money making sites still get to cover their products. They still get to go to fucking preview events. They still get to travel. Not all of them, but some of them. They still get all the goods. It's a matter of, do you want to play the game or not? Apparently, you don't want to play the game. And since you don't want to play the game, don't cry about it. Accept that. Wear it on your fucking chest. But don't sit here crying because you've been blacklisted. That's all I got to say about this. Jim Sterling didn't cry when he got blacklisted. He laughed about it. You can learn something from him. God damn. Unfucking believable. This is Torrance Davis, and this is Rantasaurus. Peace out.